Okay, this is a test run to see how this is doing. Go ahead and talk to me. Say something.
Okay, what I was thinking about...
Was 9/11 an inside job, yes or no?
No.
No.
Next question.
Okay. All right, after such a colorful intro, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Cam Andrews, and this is the Cam and Chris podcast, number 3. We made it to 3.
Woohoo!
We made it to 3. Did you ever think that you'd have 3 podcasts under your belt?
No.
No? Did you think of any alternative that was close to that?
I think I'd have 2.
So you wanted to talk about something, I know, going right into it. There's something you wanted to bring up. A story that you wanted to tell. Because as I said not off camera, I was going to say off camera, but I guess a better wording would be off microphone. What I said was that I need you to carry your weight more because I'm like a cold-hearted TV executive. I could drop you at any moment. I don't care if you're the leading man. I don't care if people tune in just to hear you. You're expendable.
I need to pull my load.
You need to pull your weight, okay?
Okay.
So the show is yours. The stage is yours.
Woohoo! Oh.
Today it's the Chris podcast.
Yeehaw. Strap yourselves in.
Usually I'm like asking you questions and I'm kind of the host. How about you try it today? Matter of fact, do the intro.
Well...
No, start over. The show is... You do the intro now.
All right, it's the Chris show. Cameron's not here today. How's that?
That's, yeah, I don't know about that. Not quite what I wanted.
But anyways, I wanted to tell a story, which was the first episode, we mentioned a town that I lived in as a kid, Pellston. Second episode, I mentioned Pellston and what a Norman Rockwellian kind of town it was. And that reminded me of a Pellston story. So I'm going to tell a little Pellston story. A good friend of mine was the Stahl family. The best friend I had up in Pellston was Stuart Stahl. So it was like the fall, like a fall afternoon. Knock on the door. I answer the door. It's Stuart, and I called Stuart Stu. So Stu's at the door. What's up? Hey, you doing anything? No. Why? What's up? Oh, you got to come with me. I was like, why? You just come with me. You got to check this out. I was like, okay. So we're walking down the street. I was like, where are we going? He goes, there's some apple trees out behind my house. And we're going to go thorking apples.
Oh, God. The thorking apples story.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So we're going to go thorking apples. Like, what's thorking apples? You'll see. Don't worry about it. You'll see. So we get out there. Well, there's these 2 apple trees out in this field behind Stu's house. And the trees were like 30, 40 yards apart, something like that. And they're out in this field. Well, here's these 2 apple trees. Well, what thorking apples is you take a stick that is about the diameter of your index finger. You find a stick, like an oak or a maple stick. Works really good. And you take a stick about the size of your index finger, and you break it off, and preferably a live stick versus a dead stick, because you want some flexibility on the stick.
You don't want it to break either.
You don't want it to break. You sharpen one end of the stick down, nice and sharp. You then take an apple, preferably a green apple, and you skewer the apple with the stick until you hold the apple, run the point in until the point's coming out the other side and you can feel it in your other palm. So you want to get the apple on there, nice and firm. Then you take the other end of the stick, opposite of where the apple is at, and you flick it almost like you're throwing a baseball, except you got that stick and you throw it. Well, that apple comes flying off at like 90 miles an hour. It's insanely fast when you use that fulcrum, I believe is the proper term for that. So, and what I didn't know then, so that's thorking an apple. Well, under the one tree was several of the neighborhood kids. Under the other tree was a bunch of other neighborhood kids. You divide them up, and you've got like
go to war.
2 teams, and it's an apple war. And there's apples flying back and forth. And I found that green apples work the best because they're the hardest, which means you have to snap the stick harder to get that green apple to fly off. But when it flies off like a laser. It's this apple war, these apples zinging back and forth between these two trees, and we did it for like an hour or so, and it was a blast. Well, several years later, I'm living in southern Michigan, Muskegon. And me and a buddy were over at another person's house, and they happened to have an apple tree. So I look out and I see this apple tree, and there's these apples on it. I was telling my buddy, "Oh, dude, we got to go out and fork some apples." Well, my buddy's like, "What the heck is thorking apples?" And I said, You'll see. Check this out." So we go outside. So I break off a stick about 3 feet long, and I sharpen it down. Go over and I pick up this apple, and I screw the apple in, and I was telling my buddy, I said, "Dude, man," I said, "you flip this thing?" I said, "It comes off like a laser. It's unbelievable how fast this thing," and he's looking at me like, "Yeah, right." And I said, "It does. It comes off like a laser. It's unbelievable." "Yeah, right." I was like, "I'll tell you what. You go stand over there." So he goes over about 30 feet away. So he's standing there, and he's looking at me. I said, "That's about right." So I said, "Okay." So I said, "I'm going to thork this apple at you." And I said, "You can't get out of the way. You can't get out of the way. It's coming that fast." And he's like, "Yeah, I can." I said, "No, you can't. Get ready." So he's standing there, and it was like a gunfighter. He's standing there, hands at the side, and he's ready. He's ready. So I was like, "You ready?" "Yeah, I'm ready." "Okay, here it comes." So I do the wind up and the pitch. Wow. The apple came off like a laser. Well, as it's coming in like a laser, it hit him perfectly in the forehead. Like a laser.
Like a laser.
Well, the apple, since it comes in perfect, it actually like explodes like symmetrically. As it explodes, my buddy, and I have to give a name, Jeff Mize from Mize's Sand Mine. So Jeff Mize was the one. So he was the one that made the mistake of saying he didn't believe me.
Oh man.
So Jeff's standing there, the apple explodes, and Jeff like plops backwards onto the ground like I just shot him in the head and he's dead. He like he was falling into a pool. So except it wasn't the pool, it's the ground. Plop.
Yeah.
He's laying there and he ain't moving. I thought I got him in the eyes or something.
Killed him.
I was like, "Oh my God!" So I go running over. You okay? He's looking straight up and he's blinking. He's blinking. I'm like, "You okay? Well, then I see the red mark right in the middle of his forehead where the apple hit. He's blinking. I was like, "You okay? He's like, "Yeah." And he sits up and he's still blinking and shaking his head.
Starts speaking backwards.
Yeah, speaking in tongues. But so I asked him after he regained his senses.
Consciousness?
Yeah. I asked him, I said, "So what did you see when I threw the apple there, when I thorked the apple?" I said, "What did you see?" And he goes, and I can't remember if it was a green apple or a red apple, but whatever color it was. And it was probably a green because the green was my weapon of choice.
Right.
So, but he said, "All I seen was a green blur, man. It was a green blur and I didn't have time to move." So
his life flashed before his eyes.
Yeah, a green flash.
Yeah, a green flash before his eyes.
So that's my apple thorking story.
Okay.
So, and to me, a great story is like a two-parter.
Yeah.
It's this and then it's that. So
Pelston's got a lot of weight to your years on this earth.
I loved my time in Pelston.
Right.
So, and like I said, it was a slice of Americana.
Recently, I don't know if this was the intention, but we had the Andrews family reunion, which I don't think it was planned like that at all, but that's what kind of ended up happening. And I don't, and it's still true. I've always said I've never seen the three Andrews brothers together at the same time. I don't really think I have. Maybe like when I was like a 6-year-old kid.
And actually, we had a birthday party.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe when I was like 6.
Yeah.
But my entire adult life, I've never seen the three Andrews brothers together at one time in one place. And that night at the family reunion, it was looking like it was going to be that. And then, of course, our one uncle, name drop, Uncle Kurt, he got into a little car accident, nothing too serious.
Yeah. Are you sensing a conspiracy here?
Well, I don't know.
Saying that he arranged that accident?
Knowing him, probably. He probably just went out and took a fucking sledgehammer to it. Made it, and then he sent the picture to Gig and was like, hey, sorry, man, can't make it, Well, I jest, but you never know. Yeah. You never know. But any three of you guys could have done something like that, a Ponzi scheme like that, and played it off, Lord knows. I wish I could get that level of what is that you said? You get your business sense from J.R. Ewing and Mr. Haney from Green Acres and
Milburn Drysdale,
Beverly
from
Hillbillies.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, you guys are scam artists.
Those are my three financial idols.
I wish I could scam people as good as you guys do. Man. So, Mr. Show Host, do you have any questions you would like to ask me? About any topic you could possibly think of. I want to put you in the hot seat right now because the interesting thing is that when we did this family reunion thing, I was surprised to hear not just my cousin but my cousin's wife and my other cousins too. A lot of members of my family complimenting the podcast and then people I see at work. Are walking up to me, coworkers from both my jobs are walking up to me and talking about it, and I even got a couple people just breaking my door down saying, when's the next episode? Your dad is so great. But they never say, you're so great, But no, well, they do, but I'm joking.
You're up and coming.
I'm up and coming, yeah. You've got many years. Yeah, and like I say, the running joke behind behind the microphone is that I'm trying to make you famous, so... how old are you?
57.
57.
I had to think about it.
57. It's never too late to be famous. You're not quite Kim Kardashian, so you can't just make a sex tape and then get famous in 2 days from it. That's a little out of your age range and so that sort of thing. So we have to make you famous a different route.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm waiting. This is your test.
This is my test.
This is your test to see how good your interview skills are.
Nobody has interview skills.
Yeah, nobody has a career in just being a radio guest.
Interview skills.
Interview skills. Interview me.
Yeah. Well.
Pretend like you don't know me.
Who are you?
That's. Who am I? That's a very vague question.
Who is this is?
I am Cam Andrews.
Do you know where that line came from? Who is this is?
Who is this is?
Who is this that you wouldn't know? You just bought the DVD, I think. Cheech and Chong's.
Oh.
Up in Smoke.
Up in Smoke.
Yeah.
We haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, we need to watch it. Great movie. So, being a person that does not endorse, participate, or encourage that lifestyle.
Why not?
It's a great movie.
What's wrong with that lifestyle?
The pothead lifestyle?
Yeah. What's wrong with it?
Well...
there's millions of people that live that way, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
And I've
beat around the bush now. I see what you're doing. You're getting all skittish.
Well, no, not at all. I'm trying to explain why I've never cared for that lifestyle. Being a person that has never smoked a joint in my life.
You never smoked pot.
Ever.
You kidding me? Not even just, hey man, hit this real quick and.
Ever. So, but. Being like, my graduating class at Muskegon High School in 1980, that was like...
I bet they smoked a lot of pot.
Well, I was like one of 2 kids or 3 kids that didn't. So we were out there in a field by ourselves. But even though, the norm is it's not addictive. It's like...
You can get addicted to Cheerios, man. Exactly. You can get addicted to anything.
Exactly.
That's the weakest thing ever. Yeah. And then it's those same people,
yeah.
But they don't smoke for 3 days and they act like they're about to fucking stab you when you ask them for a pencil.
Yeah. So,
but you're not addicted, huh?
No. But it just that's the thing. It's it was never my thing, and it was a conscious choice not to do it, and I'm very proud of that, and I've always been very proud of that. So.
But you didn't answer my question.
No, I didn't.
Which is, what's wrong with that lifestyle?
Well, and it's kind of one of those. As a kid, you were taught, try harder and do your best and strive, keep striving, keep trying, keep working, do better. And I had friends that smoked marijuana and other things, other drugs, and they were happy with where they were at. And
the magic behind that statement.
Yeah, and it was, why should I try harder when I think I'm doing just fine right here.
Everything's all good.
So that's the thing is it in my opinion, for the psychological, the physical, the medical, whatever reason, but it removes desire and bettering yourself or your situation. It removes it from your catalog.
A Mexican court just approved the legalization of cocaine for 2 individuals. Just 2, not everybody, but 2 people in Mexico have are legally allowed to use cocaine because it was found
medicinal. Yeah, or something?
For medicinal purposes. Yeah. It was found that it helped them. Yeah. I often bring up that point. Well, if heroin was legal, would you want your kids to do it? Because I was talking with someone the other day, and I asked them. I said, they're an advocate for marijuana and pot and all that stuff, and I said, would you want your kids smoking it now that it's legal? And that's her thing is, oh, well, it's legal. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, do you want your kids smoking it? She said, well, as long as they're 18. I said, so because
17 and a half is unacceptable?
I said, so because it's legal, that makes it okay. And it's kind of like drinking too. Like, you want to drink a shit ton and get wasted. Like I drink, I go out and I have fun. You know what I mean? But I don't come home to my wife and kids and then immediately start putting them down the hatch with 6 or 7, like probably people in your life have, or done something close to that or similar. Mm-hmm. You've seen that probably firsthand.
Oh yeah.
So,
a little side note, and I always mention this when.
But my point is, just because it's legal does not make it right.
Definitely.
Or okay.
Definitely. A little side note about legalization of marijuana. One of the biggest opponents to the legalization of marijuana are the medical marijuana people.
Because they got a scam going, man.
They got a nice little gig going, and it will put a little pinch in their action if it's legalized.
Yeah.
So then
everybody can get it. So then they're just a normal pot shop at that point, a dispensary.
Yeah. So, but that is, there's a like a lobby group or whatever that collects money to oppose legalization of marijuana, and the medical marijuana people.
Yeah, they put some cash.
They're shelling out some cash to that,
right?
So, just kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just because I don't know how to properly word this. There are so many people my age that are so very pushover, I guess. They don't, everyone's afraid to have an opinion at all.
In this PC world.
In this PC world, everyone's afraid to have any opinion. And a good example is when Donald Trump, I think it was this year actually, gave the State of the Union address. Mm-hmm. And all the radical, crazy, far-left socialist women showed up, like a Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
They all wore white or something.
They all wore white in solidarity for whatever the hell their cause is, right? I don't know whatever, man. But so they all wore white, right? And whenever Trump would say something, the people would get up and they would cheer, right? These women, they sat down and they never got up and cheered. Mm-hmm. Trump was like, I've instated people to help with human trafficking. Everyone got up and cheered. The women in white sat down. They stayed sitting. All these great things that Trump has done and that, he's helped other organizations within the government do, they sat down. But then when he said that we have more women in Congress than at any point in our history, guess who stood up and cheered? The women in Congress. Gee, what a surprise. Mm-hmm. They only got up to cheer for themselves.
Didn't you say, you mentioned this to me before, but I think in that same statement where you said that, you also said at one point, one of them was clapping and the others weren't.
So hold on, wait. So I'll tell that. That was my point. This is why I brought that up, is because people are so afraid to have their own opinion that they look to others to give them their opinion so that they don't stand out. So there was at one point where some of the women in white got up and started clapping, and a few women in the front row looked behind them to see if they were standing up, so that then they would be like, oh, it's okay for me to stand up and start clapping because the people behind me did it.
Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting? That hive, it's like a hive mindset that you can't be an individual. It's like some 1984 shit. Like the thought police, and there, you see a lot of these leftist politicians with that. I forget who it was. I think it was Beto O'Rourke. Beto, for those that want to call him by his actual name, but I call him Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke. He said that it's terrible that anyone should be allowed to even think like a Republican. To even think like a Republican.
Yeah, how do you know that I'm thinking like a Republican?
That was literally predicted in Orwell's book. Orwell's book. Orwell?
George
Orwell, yeah. Orwell's book. That was literally predicted. The Thought Police. Like it's insane, man.
Yeah.
And I...
that's some scary stuff.
So I went to a store recently. It was an electronics shop. And I was getting some stuff for the show, actually. And this dude from behind the counter, I was wearing my Trump 2020 hat, the Trump Pence Keep America Great hat. Really nice hat, blue, navy. And he kind of said in like a quiet voice to me as I was checking out.
Who? Oh.
The checkout guy, right?
Okay.
He's like, hey, man, I'm not supposed to get political, but... He's like, hey, man, I like your hat, okay? I'm not supposed to say that, but I really like your hat. He's like, he's afraid.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, man, nobody is oppressed, but if oppression did exist, white men, man, we're at a fucking major disadvantage, dude. You know how people look at me so different? Like the main reason I wear the Donald Trump hats and the MAGA hats is just to prove my point that there's no such thing as tolerance, quote unquote, or we should treat everyone equal, quote unquote, because, if you practice what you preach, you wouldn't say anything to me. You wouldn't give me dirty looks. You would, I've had people like hold the door and then they see me coming and they close the door.
Because of the hat.
Because they see the hat.
Yeah.
That was why I started wearing it initially. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it was just to prove my point that people they contradict themselves every day. What is that word called when you contradict yourself?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so I just wanted to prove that to myself, kind of thing. And it's amazing that so many people, especially white people are afraid more than ever, man. I've been in areas in situations where, I'm living around a lot of people of different ethnicities and races and genders and religions and all this stuff. And when white people get into a position like that, then they can't go a fucking minute without walking on eggshells. They got to make sure they say all the right things and please all the right people. And, if I say, can I say that? Can I, and to me, that's living in fear. And in the past couple of years, I made a promise to myself that I would never live in fear. I would never live for another set of people. and you tell someone that who's a liberal, and they'll go, well, that just means you're a racist. That just means you're a misogynist pig, I believe very strongly that no one is equal. Everyone is different.
Well,
every individual person is different.
I agree.
But what I mean by that is that I obviously believe that you should treat others as you want to be treated. To an extent,
the gold
unless someone gives you a reason to not treat them that way.
Well, I can understand that too, but
that's so this whole kumbaya idea that we should all hold hands and we should have open borders and there should be no laws and there should be no regulations.
Well, that's stupid.
It's John Lennon. Let's come together. I mean, at least John Lennon realized that was not going to happen. He said, "Imagine." Mm-hmm. He didn't say make it happen. He said imagine a world like that. Mm-hmm. Because it's probably not possible unless we develop like a Starfleet type of home world where it's in the future. And so, that's the thing is like I think we would have already been to that point if we had as a planet decided to come together. I think we'd be there, or at least we'd be on a fast track to that. The Star Trek Federation. What do you think?
That's a question that could go in 7,000 directions.
Take me in one.
I think that there are too many religions that would prevent that. So I had a buddy of mine, we were talking about years ago, Somalia. And
all the pirate action going down there.
The stuff going on there. And I believe that's where the movie Black Hawk Down was based, was in the capital city of Somalia, which I think is Mogadishu. I think that's the capital.
I don't know, honestly.
But they had, civil war and famine and all this stuff, and United Nations troops were providing food and all that stuff, and they've got this big civil war. And it's just one of those, and all it is tribal factions.
Right.
And they somehow, my buddy was telling me that in an interview, they were interviewing some of the people from the different tribes. Here's some, lady, 50 years old, whatever. And they were interviewing her and trying to come up with a background or a basis on why the Civil War continued. And she said she was willing to do anything to stop the Civil War. And the interviewer said, well, would you be willing to get along with the Smith tribe? You're from the Jones tribe. Would you be willing to get along with the Smith tribe? And she said, I would rather die. So right there you go.
Yeah.
That's just tribes. That's not religions. That's not race. That's not anything. That's just a tribe.
Do you think, this is a very broad question. I want to see where you take it. Do you think America, the United States of America, owes anybody anything?
Anything what?
That's the question. Do you think the United States of America owes anyone anything? Do you think it owes anyone anything?
Let me answer that with, there was a statement about, and I think, they, when the founding fathers created America, the Thomas Jeffersons and the John Adams and the George Washingtons, the founding fathers, one of them, and I want to say it was John Adams that made a statement, and they referred to it as, the American experiment.
Okay.
And I think, but I might be jumbling multiple statements, but the statement was that the American experiment will succeed, and I want to get this straight, the American experiment will succeed by a moral people, that desire to have the American experiment succeed. And I didn't word it right there, but the key thing there was moral. And
he didn't say it would succeed.
He didn't say it would succeed.
He said it will succeed.
It would, or it can.
It can succeed if we have a moral people.
We have a moral people.
Do you think we have a moral people anymore? Now?
There are.
Do you think a majority of people are moral?
I think yes. But.
Really?
But it also seems that
in America,
we're getting toward the tipping point.
Right. In America, there's a common thing amongst younger individuals, and it's their right. That's the interesting thing. The interesting aspect of it is that it's your right to not care about politics and to not care about anything outside of your bubble. But when you get an entire generation of people that think like that, then you start to experience problems.
Yeah.
Then you have eventually a majority of people won't care about who's in office. They won't go vote. They won't get involved in any. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And at some point, they won't even realize that the control has been taken out of their hands.
Right.
Because at that point, you just don't care.
Well, the thing now here are two statements that are true. One, the older you get, the more you are likely to participate in the political arena. And I say that also from personal experience, which was the older I got, the more interested I became in voting. The second statement is, and this might catch some people off guard or surprise them.
Okay.
The older you get, the more likely you are to vote conservative.
Why is that?
Versus liberal.
Why is that?
Because you start figuring out how things really work. Which and just as an example, the AOC Green Plan, New Green Deal or something.
The big Green Deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and the thing is, being a hardcore conservative that I am, the New Green.
Are you though?
I'm not gonna. I shouldn't say hardcore.
You say some traitorous things sometimes.
Well, we'll talk about those in a future episode. But
I'm giving you shit. Continue.
But the New Green Deal.
Yeah.
Everything she said in the New Green Deal is nice and it's cute and it's huggy. It's
right.
Huggy.
I don't like the part where I have to tear down my house.
Well, now hold on. Let me finish though. The New Green Deal is fine, and if money was free and you had to tear down your house and it could be built more efficiently for free and no labor involved, then, hey, that's cool. I tear down my old house and I get a new one and I turn on a light switch and the light switch turned on lights because I've got a photo cell up there that got developed, manufactured, and delivered to my house for free by a green truck that drives on the roads for free, that are paved for free. And, so...
I think, actually, that's why Star Trek... that's why Earth became the way it was, is because they discovered a way to make infinite resources. No, that is. I'm remembering it now. Yeah, that's the reason the Federation got to be existed, because they figured out a way to make infinite resources.
Yeah.
So if we had infinite resources, we could do that. Right. No problem.
And that's the thing. So that's the thing is, that's fine and that's dandy. And it's like, one of the big things, they say the war on coal. Got to get rid of those coal plants. Got to get rid of those coal plants. Get rid of those coal plants. Well, and I don't know what the statistic is, but every day, China cranks up a new coal-fired plant.
Even if we completely did this Green New Deal, if every other country in the world doesn't participate in it, it won't change anything.
Exactly. So that's the thing is.
And another issue I take with it is the erasing of traditional American history. So, the liberals in the minority community want to take down all the Confederate statues. And these are brave, proud men who fought and died for a cause that they believe in. And just because they ended up on the losing side, they want to say that these men were racist, these men were oppressors, that they were cowards. These dudes had more gumption in one pinky than most of these politicians do today, and they want to take down the statues. So that's another thing with the Green New Deal, is this historical building that's been here for, is there a waiver for that? You know what I mean? Like, this historical church that's been around for hundreds of years, since the inception of America, and we're going to take it down.
The statement.
But I mean,
every building.
Every building. That barn. That fucking barn that we have. I mean, would that barn need to be taken down?
Yeah.
What about the pool shed?
That's foolishness.
What about the pool shed? That doesn't even have electricity. Would that need to be taken down? I mean, where does it end, right?
Yeah.
What about the International Space Station? Do we own that? We own part of it. Does that fit compliance with your plan? I could think...
Well, instead of riding a rocket up there, we're going to get this big rubber band.
No, we're going to make the rocket out of hemp. That way it's biodegradable.
Well, that's...
Oh, man.
I'm not riding on that one.
You're not? Yeah, you'll get a reenactment of Apollo 11 or whatever. Or what was that? Apollo 9?
Apollo 8.
Apollo 8?
The fire?
Yeah, where they came back down.
No, that was 13.
The one that burnt up in the atmosphere, coming back down?
Well, Apollo 13 was the one where they had an explosion.
In space.
And then they needed to cobble their way and fight their way back.
Right. What was the one that re-entered? It tried to re-enter and then it burned up because they didn't have enough plates for the heat?
You're thinking space shuttle, not Apollo.
What was that? A space shuttle called?
Columbia, I think.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh.
It was like Apollo. It was like
Was it in your lifetime?
Yes.
Okay, it's not Apollo.
No, it was all right. You know what?
No pausing. He's going for the pause button, people.
I'm not pausing.
He's going for the erase button.
I'm Googling this right now. All right, Apollo 13, Apollo 11.
There were no Apollos that burned up in the atmosphere.
I hope they can hear my typing right now.
These new guys, I don't know what they're teaching these kids in school today.
I might be experiencing the Mandela effect right now because I can't find anything about it. You know what the
go figure.
You know what the Mandela effect is, right? They talked about it on the X-Files. Remember what that was?
Well, let me. The space shuttles that were lost was the Challenger, which I think exploded on liftoff in 1986. Then the Columbia, which crashed on a re-entry on its mission, which was about maybe 2010. Obama canceled the space shuttle.
It was Apollo 1.
Apollo 1?
Yes. It was not in my lifetime. I was wrong.
And what happened to it?
There was a fire that swept through upon re-entry.
There weren't any men on it, though. I don't think any men died. The first Apollo casualties was Apollo 8.
Okay. I'm experiencing the Mandela effect. I'm going to blame it on that. For those of you that don't know, the Mandela effect is when you shift into a slightly alternate reality where certain small details are changed.
Okay. Yeah. I seen it. You did. You shifted.
Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me.
Man, this episode's really all over, isn't it?
Well, that's your fault, not mine.
No, it's your fault because I handed you the keys. I handed you the keys. You're supposed to be the showboat right now, the host.
Oh, he's calling me the showboat.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Host, let's hear it.
Okay, let's hear it.
What else do you got for me?
Well, what else do I have? Give me a subject. Give me a subject. I always say, give me a subject and I'll talk. Give me a subject.
Subject. All right.
Subject.
What is...
Subject. Aldo Nova. That was the name of an Aldo Nova album. Subject, Aldo Nova.
Do you consider yourself, if you were a millennial now, would you be a hipster?
A hipster doofus?
A hipster doofus, to quote Cosmo Kramer.
A hipster. What? I don't even know what a hipster is.
A hipster is a beta male who wears really tight pants and usually has some kind of horrible facial hair now. So guys have this thing where they try to grow these hideous mustaches and then they curl them up like the old
handlebar,
like the old timey ones.
Yeah.
But then if you're gonna do something like that, you got to wear like an old fashioned suit, like a dapper suit or something like that with a top hat. You know what I mean? Like that mustache has a very traditional and old school kind of vibe to it. So when these dudes pull up they get pants that are purposefully shorter too. So they get like pants that don't come like down. They get pants so like the pant leg will come up to like the middle of the bottom part of their leg.
Really?
That's like a trend. It's like a fashion.
Yeah.
So this entire segment, like literally a foot of their leg, is just out in the open.
You know, and
they wear low socks.
What's a low sock?
A sock, I call it. It's literally just the foot, and that's it.
Those are girl socks.
Girl socks.
Yeah.
So they wear girl socks, and they have button-up shirts, but not good button-up shirts. They find the most ugly, like purposefully ugly. They find like the most ironically ugly shirt they can find, and they button it up. And I swear to God, I had a dude in my college class who looked like this, how I just described, and he wore a fedora. Would you be like that? These are the type of people that have a Beatles shirt, and the only Beatles song they've ever heard is Hey Jude and maybe two others.
Yeah.
You know? Would you be like that if you were a millennial? What kind of millennial would you be?
That's a good question. I can only say that when I was a young man, whether it's 13 or 8 or 15 or 18 or 21, whatever it was, I was a product of my environment, and for the most part, I think I wore the clothing that other people wore.
Which was?
We had this discussion the other day about when I was a kid, bell-bottom pants started.
Yeah.
And I can remember an example which I didn't tell you about. I was in Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scout uniform was blue, and they had a pair. There was Boy Scout pants. There were official Boy Scout pants that were blue also, straight leg. Well, yeah. When bell bottoms came out, straight leg was just like,
don't do it.
That was the end of the world, man.
Yeah, like, square. You're a square.
Beyond square. And I don't know what that was, but that's what it was. And so I would purposely like sneak home from school to get my bell-bottom pants on and try to sneak back out of the house to school, because at that time, this was like 3rd grade, and my house was only like 2 blocks from the school. So I would like sneak home and try to catch it and my mom more than once caught me sneaking out with my bell-bottom pants on. And it was kind of one of those, if you didn't have the official Boy Scout pants, then you could wear the, any pants that you had kind of a thing, So, but that was just, I can't wear these straight leg pants, man.
Do you still have any bell-bottom pants?
No. As fast as they came in, I shouldn't say as fast. They were in for a few years, but then they went out.
You kept a lot of stuff from your youth.
I have
and
a few items.
And you're telling me you didn't keep the one thing that I would have loved to have passed down to me?
I would be more than glad to give you a pair of my waist size 13 bell-bottom pants, which you could probably...
I could get one leg in.
Yeah.
The leg would barely fit in like the waistline,
Yeah. You'd have to put, well, that's what the bell, you could put them on in But yeah, so these kids today,
fashion trends come and go.
They come and go. Yeah. So
saying.
I mean, I don't know.
Who controls fashion trends, or what controls fashion trends?
Oh, that's a very good question. That is Cameron's giving me the hand signal to stop rocking in my chair. Well, I rock in my chair when I get a tough question. That's a tough question.
You're writhing in anxiety. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I ask me like a 787 question, something that I know. What do I know about fashion?
That's the smartest thing you've ever said on this show. Is what do I know about fashion?
God, I don't know anything about fashion.
All right, 747. The left side of the plane, inside, right? You walk inside the plane, and you look down the aisle, right? Okay. The left side of the plane, all the lights are off. But the switch that turns them on is on. So the entire left side of the plane does not have lights, but the right side of the aisle has lights.
Okay.
How do you fix that? You know what? I think we'll end there.
Oh, hold on.
No. So, what?
Okay. I was going to tell one more story, but we'll wait till next time. It's a analogy of a buddy of mine at work pertaining to not necessarily airplanes, but it's a good
You know
story.
what? Screw it. Tell it. This episode's already off the rails anyway. Let's go. Let's finish strong.
All right. Okay. And it's speaking of airplanes. And
you work on airplanes, by the way.
Yes, I do. And this will give me a week to look up the 747 question.
Okay.
So, I'm kidding. So, the answer to the 747 question is it's probably a contactor, and you look at the wiring diagram and figure out what powers the left-hand side of the plane versus the right-hand side of the plane. So, anyways, the story pertains to a buddy of mine who I work with, a former Marine who I served with at Naval Air Station Glenview in Chicago. Kevin Skinner's his name, a very good friend of mine. There was one time at work where when American Airlines had the DC-10s, which was a 3-engine plane, carried like 250 people. And I used to refer to the DC-10 as a monster. It was a big plane. DC-10 was so big it actually had a lower lobe galley where all the food was kept in the lower level of the plane, and you rode an elevator down there to get the food. There was a P lift and a C lift. C lift was cargo, P lift was for people. So 2 elevators would run up and down. They weren't real big elevators. It was big enough for like one person. But you ran food up and down and people up and down because the galley was, the lower lobe galley was under the cockpit and under the first class. That's how big a DC-10 was. It was a monster.
Right.
So DC-10 had 3 engines. The number 2 engine was up on the tail. And when you had a problem on a DC-10 number 2 engine in the winter, it was like World War III as far as getting a maintenance stand to get up on the tail and all that crazy stuff. It was not a fun deal. My buddy Kevin Skinner, one time we're sitting in the avionics shop and we hear the management in the next room talking about aircraft 120 out on the gate, and of course this is like February, where the temperature outside is like 5 degrees in Chicago. Well, they got a problem on the number 2 engine. Well, when you overhear somebody in the next room saying, we got a problem on the number 2 engine and we need some avionics mechanics out there. Most avionics mechanics, if you're reading a newspaper, you're sitting there with a magazine, you're like
up higher.
You're sinking down in your seat and you're raising the newspaper up.
Yeah.
Man. You're going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You're doing, well, my buddy Kevin Skinner, all of a sudden, he snaps his head around. He's looking. He's walking. He goes into the next room, and all of a sudden, I hear him. All of a sudden, he's going out the door to work on that plane. So after he was done working on that plane, I had to ask, and I was like, Kevin, I said, I don't try to get out of work. I'm not lazy, and I don't try to get out of work. But when they're talking February, 5 degrees outside, DC-10, number 2 engine, I ain't elbowing my way to the front of the line either.
Right.
I'll play the odds, and there's 10 mechanics in here, and odds are the guy they pick won't be me. That's the odds I'm playing. The odds are it won't be me. But I ain't trying to be number 1 either. So I said, what's your deal? What's your deal? And the reason I mention this story is because to me, the answer, the Kevin's answer is a awesome life lesson. And the answer that Kevin gave was the reason that I went out of my way to work on the DC-10 number 2 engine is because basically it's the hardest thing there is to do on a DC-10 is work on that number 2 engine in the winter on a crappy day. That's the worst thing you can do on a DC-10. And he says, if you've done it enough and you get good at it, what else is there?
Everything else is easy.
Everything is downhill. And it was like, and I was stunned. It's like, why didn't I ever think of that? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So I try to tell young kids, hey, let me tell you a little story. And I tell them the story. And it's like, if you adapt that and make it, as you're doing whatever in your life, and you don't deviate from that, where can you go? And what will you accomplish? You can accomplish anything, anywhere, anytime. Because once you get the hardest thing done, you got it nailed. You got it nailed. So that's my story.
All right. That episode...
And I'm not talking anymore.
That episode, good. You'll hand the keys back to me, right?
I'm talked out. I couldn't get another word out of me.
This episode was very chaotic. I feel like we had no solid topic. This was Shoot the Shit Sunday. So, and as the house is shaking, what?
That's somebody running down on the deck or something.
Probably. Oh, so yeah, we'll end it there. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time.